Good evening. Thanks for being with us. It is the first Tuesday of the month, so that means it is time for our monthly I-10 Connect community meeting where we will be providing the very latest on the project and some traffic impacts that will be coming up and affecting your commute in the coming weeks. Again, my name is Martin Bartlett. I'm joined by Jorge Orejel, the project manager for TxDOT, who will be along in a little bit to answer some questions we may have from members of the public and also provide us an update on the project. Jorge, thanks for joining us this evening. Very good. All right, we're going to dive right on into the project or into the presentation as we always do about this time. And just remind folks that this is an interactive community meeting. Though we're coming to you electronically, we still want to hear from you. So there's still plenty of opportunities to give your feedback, to ask your questions. If you're watching us live on Facebook, feel free to type your comment or your question in the comments section there on Facebook. Either I or Jorge will be able to answer those for you. You can also email us as the meeting goes on, info@i10connectelpaso.com. Either of those are great ways to get your questions answered during this meeting as the meeting goes on. All right, continuing a little bit down the road, let's talk a little bit about just kind of the makeup of the project team. Of course, a project this big is necessarily a team effort. Of course, the Texas Department of Transportation is leading this project. It'll be a project of TxDOT. Sunt is the general contractor. Consor is providing inspection services in the field. KCI, Kennedy Consulting, provided the design services, and Barracuda Public Relations, the company for which I work, is assisting TxDOT with public involvement during the construction phase of this project. All right, we always like to kind of begin with some basic facts about the project. In case this is your first time joining us, a $96 million project. Construction began back in February 2019, so more than 2 years ago now. A total of 3 years were allocated for completion of this project. So we have certainly can begin to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and if you've driven through Central El Paso at all lately, you've definitely seen some progress on this project. A little bit to just kind of set the scene, we have a bird's eye view rendering of the project area. This image is taken as if you're flying high above the spaghetti bowl, looking to the south, so Ciudad Juarez at the top of the screen, Northeast El Paso will be behind you. So everything you see there in blue is a new ramp, either a replacement of an existing ramp or brand new construction. And a lot of those ramps that you see have already come to fruition. When we started these meetings more than 2 years ago, those ramps were completely on paper only. Now they are concrete and they are steel out there in the real world, and in many cases, thousands of cars driving on them every day. All right, we're going to move our vantage point a little bit, go further south towards the Bridge of the Americas. That's where the other bulk of work for this project is focused. We've turned the camera view around about 180 degrees right now. So behind us is Ciudad Juarez, the Chamizal at the bottom of the screen. Northeast El Paso would be at the top of the screen. So what's really important to notice about this slide is traffic on Paisano Drive, US 62, will be allowed to go east and west when this project is completed. Traffic on Interstate 110 leading to and from the Bridge of the Americas will be allowed to continue going north and south. The big change down there near the bridge, no traffic from Paisano will be allowed to enter the Bridge of the Americas. All traffic accessing the bridge will be required to do so via US 54 or I-10 and make that decision at the Spaghetti Bowl. All right, so what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about some of the changes that you'll see coming up in the next week. Everything we talked about is just kind of what the project will look like when it is all said and done. But as I mentioned, there's still many miles yet to go until we get there. So we want to give you a heads up on items that will impact your drive around town, mainly at night next week. All right, so here we are starting out on US 54. That's where a lot of the action is next week. There is work underway on overhead signs and overhead lane management signs coming up next week. So what you see there, the area in pink at the bottom, I'll draw your attention to first, a complete closure of the main lanes of US 54 southbound on the evening of April 12th, beginning at 9 p.m. All traffic will be required on US 54 to take exit 22 to Pershing Drive, and then the Pershing Altura exit, stay on Gateway South and re-enter the main lanes of US 54 once you get south of Pershing. There you see in red at the center of the screen, also included a complete closure of that on-ramp from Spur 601 to southbound US 54. Traffic will be allowed to detour via Ellerthorpe Avenue via the turnaround there at Ellerthorpe. Of course, if the main lanes are closed, we don't want traffic landing in the middle of the closure, which they would do if that ramp, which is closed and shown in red, were not closed. So that's the first night of the week. Let's move forward to April 13th. More closures on US 54. And this one will impact traffic heading to Juarez. So pay very close attention to this one if you're heading to the Bridge of the Americas, if you plan to head to the Bridge of the Americas on the evening of the 13th. Again, the main lanes of US 54 southbound closed, but a little bit further south. So all traffic will be required to use that blue detour, that dark blue detour, head towards downtown on I-10 westbound, then turn around at Cotton to head eastbound. So you have to go west to go east at this time. If you just want to stay south on US 54, your route's a little bit easier. You'll take the Montana exit, continue on Gateway South, and then re-enter southbound US 54. Now, this is a really interesting case that I really want to draw your attention to there at the middle of the screen. In addition to the main lanes of US 54 being closed, the new direct connector ramp from southbound US 54 to the Bridge of the Americas will be closed as well during this time. So all traffic will need to take, if you're heading to Juarez, you'll have to take, that'll be westbound I-10 to exit 22B, which is the US 54 Juarez exit. Again, that's just an overnight closure on the night of the 13th. Now, before we go any further, I just want to share with you that right now we have a closure scheduled on the 12th, a closure scheduled on the 13th. There's no closure scheduled on the 14th, primarily because crews want to save that night, and they may slide the closure from the 12th onto that vacant night, or they may extend the closure from the 13th. So really important to remain with us on Facebook, on Twitter, sign up for the e-newsletter so we can get you the latest information, because there are still some things that may be changing as the week progresses. All right, so now let's move on to April 15th, on to tax day, to show you what the closure will look like on that night. This is one that will impact traffic trying to go from southbound US 54 to westbound Interstate 10. What you'll have to do is go east on I-10 to Trowbridge Drive, make the U-turn there to go west. So just as earlier in the week you were going west to go east, on the night of the 15th, you have to go east to go west. Again, all these overnight closures and closures which have been in place previously on this project. But the big bulk of the impact will be on US 54 next week as far as complete closures. All right, so those are some of the near-term impacts which are coming up. We want to talk now about something that's a little bit further out into the future. Just reminding folks right now, this is some of what you're seeing out there in the real world right now. That new direct connector ramp you see shaded in yellow, that's the direct connector ramp that links you directly from southbound US 54 to Juarez. That direct connector ramp you see there in green, that's the westbound I-10 to Juarez ramp. Both of those are now open. The two ramps you see off on the right or left side of your screen, kind of in that aqua blue color and that purple color, both of those will connect eastbound I-10 to Juarez and to US 54. Those ramps still remain under construction, a lot of work to do there. So again, the ramps you see there in blue and purple remain closed. The ramps you see in yellow and green are what are open to traffic right now. So we know that big question for so many folks has always been, how do I get to the Bridge of the Americas? We know that has been a big change for a lot of folks. So we have it broken down direction by direction, depending on where you're coming from. All right, so westbound I-10, so you're coming from, let's say, Cielo Vista Mall, trying to get to the Bridge of the Americas. No real change for you. All you do, take that exit 22B, US 54, then keep left to Juarez as you have for years and years and years. If you're on eastbound I-10, leaving downtown, things get a little more tricky for you. What you'll need to do, continue on the freeway out to Trowbridge, turn around at Trowbridge, then you'll be heading back towards downtown, take that exit 22B to get to Juarez. Now we know, we've heard from many of you, we've seen it with our own eyes, sometimes that ramp to Juarez, because of the temporary configuration, backs up a little bit. So really encouraging traffic. If you see that ramp to southbound Juarez is backing up, just go north on US 54, use that Pershing detour, and then follow the signs to Juarez to approach the new Juarez ramp from a different direction. We kind of like to say that it's not, we're not stuck in traffic. We are traffic. So we just got a great question from Diego on Facebook. When will that eastbound exit to Juarez finish? We know we've heard that from so many of you. I'm going to ask Joe if we can go back in the presentation just a little bit, just to kind of the previous slide that Diego is talking about. I want to just illustrate that ramp that he's talking about is that blue and that purple ramp. So that'd be eastbound I-10 to Juarez. Unfortunately, Diego, many months still yet to go. We're looking at that those ramps not reopening until we get closer towards the end of the project. So bear with us, stay patient. We really appreciate all of your patience because we do know this has been rather inconvenient. All right, so let's keep on heading on down the road, literally and physically. We're gonna, or metaphorically rather, we're gonna head down US 54 and show you some changes that are taking place immediately north of the Bridge of the Americas. This is a big change that's coming up, both short-term and long-term. So we really want to get you oriented before we go any further into this presentation. So what you're looking at right now is an aerial photo looking almost directly down at southbound Interstate 110 leading towards the Bridge of the Americas. So to get everybody oriented, off to the right side of the screen going south is the Bridge of the Americas. Off to the left side of the screen going to the north, that's where Interstate 110 links up to US 54 en route to Interstate 10. Towards the top of the screen would be the Coliseum rather. Towards the bottom of the screen would be the Chamizal National Memorial. So there you see two lanes, only two lanes of southbound Interstate 110 right now leading into the Bridge of the Americas as part of this temporary configuration. So the work that's taking place down there is about to start being a little more visible. This is going to be where Paisano Drive will cross Interstate 110. Again, no access to the Bridge of the Americas from Paisano when this project is complete. So the next big thing you're going to start to see is crews placing concrete bridge girders over where the northbound lanes will eventually be. That will have no impact on traffic because those northbound lanes are detoured onto Paisano Drive. Once all those are in place, then we will have traffic impacts for vehicles heading south on Interstate 110 leading into Juarez. As you can see, more than a dozen concrete and steel bridge concrete bridge girders have to be placed over those two southbound lanes of Interstate 110. There is absolutely no way that can be done with traffic flowing south on Interstate 110. So to minimize the impact, there's going to be a series of overnight closures, think on the order of 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., exact times and dates to be determined, for crews to begin placing those bridge girders over southbound Interstate 110. So again, we just want to give you as much warning as possible that in the coming weeks and months, we will have an extended series of closures of southbound Interstate 110 leading to the Bridge of the Americas. As you will recall, southbound I-110 is the only road leading to the Bridge of the Americas. So during those overnight closures, there will be no southbound vehicular access to the Bridge of the Americas. We know that is going to impact a lot of people's travel, and exact work on the exact timing and exact dates is going to do everything it can to take that into account, but that work just has to be done. So that's the bad news, but I do just want to continue to share some of the good news with you. The area you see there highlighted in green is southbound Interstate 110. As you can see, at its widest, when it crosses under Paisano Drive, there are a total of 5 lanes for traffic. 3 lanes for autos, 2 southbound lanes for trucks. So just want to remind everybody that right now, Interstate 110 leading into the bridge, only 2 lanes. When this project is complete at its widest, there will be a total of 5 southbound lanes for vehicles heading into the Bridge of the Americas. So again, we know that those overnight closures of Interstate 110 are going to be very impactful, but also just want to remind you that there is some payoff at the end in terms of more storage capacity for vehicles waiting to get south onto the Bridge of the Americas. All right, so again, there's a lot that is kind of in flux over the next weeks and months. So the best way to stay up to date, sign up for text alerts. Go to i10connectelpaso.com. We are more than happy to provide bilingual text message alerts whenever we have major or last minute changes in traffic control. For example, earlier this week, we had a closure that went a little bit longer than expected. So we sent out a text. So hopefully folks got it before they left the office and were able to manage their evening commutes accordingly. So text message alerts, one great way to stay up to date. Another way we would really encourage folks to stay up to date is old-fashioned telephone. If you have a question, pick up the phone, give us a call, 855-463-1010. That's our bilingual project hotline. That is not an emergency line. That is a question and answer line. So if you need something, have an urgent question, or see something out there in the world, see a traffic accident, do not report it to this number. This is a way to get a response back within 24 hours on maybe upcoming traffic control. For example, I think a couple of months ago, we had a really great call from somebody who was just asking that simple question, how do I get to Juarez? We are more than happy to answer those questions. Any other questions you might have about the project by calling us 855-463-1010. We're also happy to be here with you on the first Tuesday of every month. So that means we're looking now at our next meeting streamed live Tuesday, May 4th at 5:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll have some more progress to report to you then. So again, that's just kind of a look at some of the changes that are coming up in the project. Again, a lot of work focusing on US 54 overnight next week. And then the big focus of attention, we understand, will be those complete closures of southbound Interstate 110 coming up probably by about May. Jorge, I want to hand it over to you and ask if you have anything else you'd like to add.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, as I always do on my monthly meetings, I would like to emphasize pedestrian safety. Please do use the assigned pedestrian routes that we have throughout the project. Do not try to cross the construction zone. That's very, very dangerous. I understand that you have to get from point A to point B, pretty much crossing to the bridge. We understand that, and that's why we have assigned these pedestrian routes that are very safe. So if you are one of those pedestrians across the bridge every day, or have family members or friends or relatives that cross the bridge, please do tell them that they need to use the pedestrian routes that we have in place. We've seen a lot of people crossing through work zones, and that kind of delays the project, because we have to tell the employees, the construction workers, to stop the activity that we're doing in order to have these people cross safely, and in a way is delaying the project. So if you cross these designated pedestrian routes, you're not only being safe, but you're helping the project to be completed on time. Okay. Also, Martin, I wanted to mention that unfortunately, this is not the only project that is affecting I-10 by the Spaghetti area. We do have other two bridge preventive maintenance contracts that cannot wait to be constructed. So we need to coordinate the work that has been done on the I-10 Connect with these other two projects that are happening along that stretch of highway. Unfortunately, that's making us close the freeway in longer sections than we expected. But these bridges need to be repaired. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of cars with flat tires. So as we always say in the meetings, thank you for your patience. We're working for you. We want you to get safe from your work to home, and vice versa, or anywhere you go. But for that, we need you to be patient in order for us to finish these important projects. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Jorge. And a great reminder, just always use designated pedestrian facilities whenever you're crossing a street, and certainly when you're in a construction zone. So again, please feel free to send us an email, info@i10connectelpaso.com. We did get a comment during the meeting from Diego. We were happy to answer that. info@i10connectelpaso.com. We'll do our best to get you an answer as quickly as we can. Also, feel free to reach out to us at the bilingual hotline as well. So until next month, I'm Martin Bartlett. Thanks very much for joining us. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out via Facebook, Twitter, or our website. And we will see you one month from now. Thanks very much.